Hi there and welcome to Mr. Mitchell's Mathematics. Today we're going to be looking at how to divide one fraction into another. Make sure you've got a pen and paper ready so that you can do the calculations in this video. So often in an exam, either as part of a word problem or a standalone question, you're going to need to divide one fraction into the other. Here I have two examples, 3/4 divided by 1/4 and 9/11 divided by 2/5. Now the first question is far easier than the second. That's because it's relatively straightforward to see that in 3/4, 1/4 fits 3 times. Imagine that as a circle. But we're going to need a far more rigorous way of approaching these questions when the numbers are more difficult. So on the first question, I'll show you how to do it. What we do is we rewrite this fraction, but changing it to a times. And the way that we do that is we do 3/4 and then we times it by the flipped version of the other fraction. In this instance, it becomes 4/1. So what we're doing is we're flipping this fraction here to make it become this one here. And therefore, once we've got that, it's actually relatively straightforward to work out the final answer. And what we do here is we times these two numbers and then we times these two numbers. So in this case, we do 3 times 4 is 12 and 4 times 1 is 4. Now 12/4 cancels to 3, and so we get the right final answer. Let's try this with the second, slightly more difficult question. So 9/11 divided by 2/5. So we rewrite that firstly as 9/11 times 5/2. Remember, we're flipping this fraction to make it become this one. And therefore, we do, again, 9 times 5 and 11 times 2, like this. Let's do it. 9 times 5 is 45, and 2 times 11 is 22. Now, as we can't simplify this any further, that's the final answer. Notice that this answer is far more simple than this, but they're both correct. So it just depends on how convenient the initial question is. So let's just recap. There are 2 steps to this problem. The first is to rewrite the expression as a times, flipping the fraction, and the second is to simplify. Good. So don't worry if that was in any way complicated. What we're going to do is leave you now with 2 questions that you can try on your own. Pause the video and in 5 seconds I'll show you how I worked it out. So this is how I worked it out. The first thing I did was I rewrote this expression as 8/10 times 5/1. To work this out, I now did 8 times 5 and 10 times 1, timesing across the top and the bottom. This left me with 40/10, which simplifies to 4. For the second one, I did exactly the same thing. I wrote it as 7/9 times 6/1. Again, I times across the top and I times across the bottom. This left me with 42/9, which I could simplify to 14 2/3. Great, so I hope you got the right answers on those. Like always, I'm going to leave you now with 3 other questions. Make sure you have a go, and in a few moments, I'll tell you the answers. Pause the video now. So here are the answers. For the first one, I did 7/12 times 5/2. That left me with 35/24. For the second question, I did 10/12 times 7/3. That left me with 70/36, which simplifies to 35/18. The last one I did 6/13 times 9/5. This left me with 55 4/65. Great, so I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Like always, if you have a question or query, leave a comment in the section below and make sure to subscribe to Mr. Mitchell's Mathematics. Have a great day.